Right now, somewhere in America, a schoolteacher is checking her bank account and feeling a little proud. She has saved up $800,000. She thinks she made it. In the same minute, somewhere else, Elon Musk earns more money than she will see in her entire life. Not in a year, in about 90 seconds. And yet most people, if you ask them, will tell you millionaire and billionaire are basically the same thing. Just one has more zeros. They are not the same thing. They are not even close. And there are 5 completely different financial worlds between them. So here's the question. Where does rich actually start? And where are all the lines that nobody talks about? You are, right now, living inside one of 8 different financial worlds. Each world has its own rules, its own fears, its own little problems that money can or cannot fix. The weird part is this. Most people are in a different world than the one they think they are in. The middle class thinks it is poor. The rich think they are middle class. The very rich think they are simply normal. We are going to walk all 8 worlds. We are going to find the real lines. And by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly where you live. World 1. About half of America. Net worth is somewhere between $0 and a few $1,000s in a checking account. The Federal Reserve says the typical American family has about $7,800 in liquid savings. That is 40 days of normal expenses. 40 days. In World 1, money has one job. It rents you the next month. That is it. Here is the problem with World 1. If you get appendicitis on a Tuesday, the hospital hands you a bill for $20,000. You put it on a credit card at 24% interest. That credit card now charges you about $13 a day, every day, for the rest of your life. Because you got sick once. The vacation, the new tires, the kid's birthday, all canceled by your appendix. In World 1, problems are forever. World 2, the American middle, net worth somewhere between $50,000 and $250,000. Most of it is the house you live in and a retirement account you are not allowed to touch yet. The median American household has about $193,000 in net worth. That sounds like a lot. It is not. Take away the house, and most of it disappears. Life in World 2 looks pretty good. There is a car, there's a couch nobody is fighting over. There is a vacation once a year, the kind where you drive there. The lights stay on. But here's what World 2 actually is. World 2 is one bad month away from World 1. One layoff, one medical bill that hits before the deductible resets. One transmission. The math works as long as the math keeps working. In World 2, money has one new job. It buys you the illusion of safety. The illusion is enough most of the time, until it isn't. World 3 is where things get weird. Welcome to the Henry. Henry is a real word that a writer at Fortune magazine made up in 2003. It stands for high earner, not rich yet. The classic Henry is a married couple making $300,000 a year, total. They have a leased BMW. They have a 4-bedroom house. They have a Whole Foods habit. They look, by any normal measure, rich. Their actual net worth is closer to $400,000. The IRS treats them like the wealthy. Their lifestyle treats them like the wealthy. Their balance sheet does not. Here is the brutal part. A Henry can earn $300,000 every year for 20 years and end up at retirement with less money than the millionaire next door we're about to meet, who never earned more than $90,000 in his life. In World 3, money has another new job. It is paying for you to look like you are in a higher world than you actually are. The leased BMW is the costume. The Whole Foods is the accessory. The student loans, the mortgage, and the property tax are the bill at the end of the meal. World 3 is the most stressful world to be in, because it is the only one where your problem is mostly your own self-image. World 4, $1 million to $5 million in net worth. This is the world most people think they are aiming for. The world they imagine when somebody says, "Made it, get ready." About 1 in 5 American households are already here, 18%. There are more than 27 million households in America with at least $1 million in net worth. You probably know one. You probably do not know they are one. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. The actual millionaire does not look like a millionaire. In 1996, two researchers spent 10 years studying every actual millionaire in America. The book is called The Millionaire Next Door. The headline finding is this: the typical millionaire drives a used Toyota. He has lived in the same house for 22 years. He earns less than $200,000. He has never bought a watch that costs more than $200 in his life. His neighbors think he sells insurance. He owns the insurance company. The flashy person at your gym, the one with the boat and the leased Mercedes? Almost certainly not a millionaire. The quiet guy at the parts counter who has been there for 30 years and bought the building in 2004. Almost definitely a millionaire. So here's the case-cracking moment. The line that most people aim at, the millionaire line, is not the line you think it is. It is not where rich begins. It is barely where stable begins, because there's one more secret about World 4. Watch this. If you walk into a private bank tomorrow with $1 million and tell them you are a millionaire, they will smile politely and say, "How much of that is your house?" Because the people who actually deal with rich people for a living do not count your house. They only count what they call investable assets: cash, stocks, bonds, things they can move. By that definition, almost half of the so-called millionaires in America are not millionaires. They have a paid-off house and a retirement account, and that is it. So we are not at the rich line yet. We are not even close. There are 4 entire worlds above World 4 that we have not seen. And in those worlds, money does things money was never supposed to be able to do. World 5, $5 million to $30 million. The first world where the money is real enough to do something the lower worlds could not. The money can earn for you. At a normal 5% return, $10 million makes about $500,000 a year while you are asleep. That is a doctor's salary, generated by a spreadsheet with no doctor. This is the first world where you can charter a private jet without it being insane. Your kid can go to any school in the world. You hire your first financial advisor. You stop checking the bill at restaurants. Your lawn now belongs to a guy named Steve. But there is a trap door in World 5. Watch this. The average NFL career is 3 years. The average NFL player earns about $2.5 million before taxes, agents, and family. A long career player can leave the league with somewhere between $5 and $20 million. World 5 money. A study by the National Bureau of Economic Research looked at every NFL player who retired between 1996 and 2003. Within 12 years, 15.7% of them filed for bankruptcy. The shocking part is what they found next. The players who earned the most, who played the longest, did not go bankrupt less. The number did not protect them. That is the rule of World 5. The lower worlds were about getting up here. World 5 is the first world you can fall out of. The number on the page is real. The discipline to keep it is rare. World 6, $30 million to $300 million. Now things get strange. In World 6, you stop buying things one at a time. You start buying things in lifetimes. You do not buy a car. You buy 4 cars and a guy who maintains them. You do not buy a house. You buy a house, plus the houses on either side of it, plus the trees on the hill behind it. You get a thing called a Wikipedia page. You did not write it. Somebody else wrote it. You found out when your daughter texted you the link. Almost anyone in the world will take a meeting with you. The CEO of a Fortune 500 company will reschedule his Tuesday for you. A senator will call you back. A movie star will follow you on Instagram first. Here is one anchor for what World 6 can look like. In 1990, a guy named Mark Cuban sold his first company, Micro Solutions, for $6 million. After taxes and the lawyers, he netted about $2 million. World 5 money. A nice life. 9 years later, in 1999, he sold his next company, Broadcast.com, to Yahoo for $5.7 billion in stock. Mark Cuban skipped over 5 entire worlds in a single business deal. He went to bed in World 5 and woke up in World 7. That is the other strange thing about World 6. It is not always the place you grew up to. Sometimes it is just a hallway you walk through on the way to somewhere bigger. World 7. $1 billion to $50 billion. Here's the simplest sentence about World 7. 1,000,000 seconds is 11.5 days. 1,000,000,000 seconds is 31 years. The two numbers are not in the same family. They are barely in the same universe. If you have $1 billion, you do not have a financial advisor. You have a family office, which is a small company that exists only to manage you. You do not own a few stocks. You own pieces of other companies that own stocks. You are a line item in other rich people's portfolios. In 1964, a man named Phil Knight shook hands with his old track coach, put $1,000 on the table, and started selling Japanese running shoes out of the trunk of a green Plymouth Valiant. The company is now called Nike. Phil Knight is now worth about $35 billion. In 2000, a woman named Sarah Blakely had $5,000 in savings, a fax machine, and an idea about pantyhose. Every hosiery factory she cold called told her no. One said yes. She kept full ownership. In 2012, she became the youngest self-made female billionaire on planet Earth. These stories sound the same shape. They are not. The $1,000 handshake and the $5,000 savings account are not where the World 7 money came from. They are just where the timer started. World 7 is what happens when one good idea and 40 years of compounding finally catch each other. World 8, $100 billion and up. The top of the pyramid, the thin air. In World 8, you stop being a person who has money. You become a thing other people have to plan around. You tweet and a currency moves. You email a country and the country emails back. Elon Musk recently became the first human being in history to be worth $500 billion. By the end of last year, he was worth about $726 billion. To match that, you would have had to earn $5,000 every minute since you were born, including the minutes you were asleep, including the minutes you were a baby. The Walton family, they inherited Walmart. In 2024, their combined net worth grew by $473 million per day. That is $328,000 per minute. The median American family earns about $80,000 per year. The Waltons grew their wealth by one full median family salary every 14 seconds. This is not really money anymore. Money is something you spend. World 8 wealth is not for spending. It is for moving things, buying companies, funding rockets, picking the next senator, picking the next president, picking in some quiet rooms the next country. In World 8, the question stops being, what can I afford? The question becomes, what should I do with all this? Almost nobody in human history has had to answer that question. It is not a happy one. So, 8 worlds. Where do the lines actually fall? The line between World 1 and World 2 is whether one bad month can erase one good year. The line between World 2 and 3 is whether you can leave your job tomorrow without panic. The line between 3 and 4 is whether your bank account agrees with your zip code. The line between 4 and 5 is whether your money can earn while you sleep. The line between 5 and 6 is whether you stop counting. The line between 6 and 7 is whether you can change a country without asking. The line between 7 and 8 is whether the country has to ask you back. Almost everyone watching this lives in worlds 1 through 3. Almost everyone watching thinks rich starts at World 4. The actual answer, depending on which side of the line you ask, is somewhere between World 4 and World Infinity. Charlie Munger said the only useless sin is envy. He said it because he had been to all the worlds and he had figured out the secret nobody in the lower worlds wants to hear. The view from World 6 is mostly a view of World 7. The view from World 7 is mostly a view of World 8. The view from World 8 is mostly the silence of running out of things money can fix. The school teacher we started with, the one with $800,000, she is in World 3. Her grandmother was in World 1. Her grandchildren might be in World 4. That is what the worlds actually do. They move slow. So before you decide which world you are aiming at, here is the only question that actually matters. Which problem do you want to be the kind of person who can solve? Pick the world that solves that. That is where rich begins. For you.